She judged him for his MAGA hat, but when layoffs threatened her job and her family's future, he became the unexpected hero who stood up for what's right. What he did next will challenge everything you think about compassion, unity, and the American dream. Comments below, where are you watching from? And if you like and love our story, kindly subscribe our channel, Life Inspirational and Motivational Tales that explore themes of love, unity, and patriotism. Stay with us always for interesting stories. Thanks. Let's start the story. The office hummed with the usual sounds of keyboards clicking and the low murmur of voices. It was another busy morning in a mid-sized American town, but beneath the surface, a cloud of unease hung in the air. Claire sat at her desk, her fingers hesitating over her keyboard as she glanced at the small groups of colleagues gathered by the coffee machine. Their hushed whispers and darting glances were impossible to ignore. Claire had built a reputation as a dependable and dedicated IT professional, but today a gnawing anxiety distracted her. She caught fragments of their conversation. Outsourcing, H1B workers, cost-cutting measures. The words sent a chill down her spine. Stories of layoffs, careers derailed, and jobs replaced by cheaper labor were nothing new. Claire knew the risks, but the thought of losing her position, a job that supported her son Ethan and her aging parents, felt unbearable. Across the room, a man named Ryan sat quietly at his desk, his red MAGA hat resting beside his laptop. The hat was his signature, a symbol of his values and convictions. To Claire, though, it represented everything she opposed. His America First rhetoric felt divisive, his unwavering confidence grating. She avoided him as much as possible, dismissing him as someone she could never understand. Her inbox chimed, and Claire's heart raced as she saw the subject line, Department Realignment. With trembling hands, she opened the email. The vague corporate jargon confirmed her worst fears. Layoffs were imminent. Her breath caught, and her chest tightened as the room around her seemed to blur. Ryan glanced up from his desk, his expression calm but watchful as he noticed Claire's reaction. By midday, an all-hands meeting was announced. The entire team shuffled into the large conference room, the air thick with tension. The department head, a polished man with a well-rehearsed smile, began to speak. To remain competitive in the global market, we are restructuring our workforce and integrating human visa workers into key roles. This will ensure efficiency and sustainability moving forward. The reaction was immediate. Shocked whispers and muffled gasps rippled through the room. Claire sat frozen, her worst fears realized. The words cost realignment echoed in her mind, cruel and dismissive of the lives they affected. Around her, colleagues exchanged worried glances or stared down at their hands in disbelief. An email later that afternoon confirmed what she dreaded most. Claire was on the layoff list. Nearly a decade of dedication, late nights, and sacrificed weekends had amounted to nothing. She stared at the screen, numb with disbelief. Her mind raced to Ethan, her son, who depended on her for school fees, and her parents, whose medical bills she quietly shouldered. The future felt like it was collapsing around her. Seeking solace, Claire found her close friend Sarah in the break room. As they sat together, Claire's voice broke. "I gave everything to this company, Sarah, and now I'm just expendable. Do they even care about the people they're hurting?" Sarah squeezed her shoulder gently. "It's not about you, Claire. It's the system. They see numbers, not lives." But the words didn't ease Claire's pain. Questions of self-worth gnawed at her. Had she failed in some way? Was she not good enough? The weight of uncertainty pressed down on her, leaving her restless and overwhelmed. At his desk, Ryan observed the changes in Claire's demeanor. He noticed her hurried steps, her slumped shoulders, and the way she seemed to retreat inward. Though Claire had often dismissed him, Ryan couldn't ignore her distress. He had seen this scenario play out before. Loyal employees replaced by cheaper labor, only for the company to suffer in the long run. Ryan thought of his father, who had lost his factory job years ago when the company outsourced its operations overseas. The loss had devastated their family, leaving his father unemployed and despondent. Those memories fueled Ryan's resolve. He couldn't stand by while history repeated itself. Quietly, he began gathering information, determined to protect his team. Ryan stayed late in the office that night, poring over company documents. The more he uncovered, the clearer it became. The H1B workers slated to replace them were underqualified for the complex systems the company relied on. Their credentials, while acceptable on paper, didn't match the expertise of the existing team. He compiled case studies from other companies that had attempted similar outsourcing strategies, documenting the costly mistakes, delays, and client dissatisfaction they had endured. As Ryan worked, the memories of his father's struggles resurfaced. He remembered the long nights when his parents whispered anxiously about bills they couldn't pay. He recalled the quiet pain in his father's eyes, the weight of feeling discarded. Those memories hardened Ryan's resolve. He wouldn't let this happen to Claire or anyone else in the office. The announcement of a senior management meeting spread through the office, sparking nervous speculation. Ryan walked into the meeting room with a laptop and a stack of printed reports. The atmosphere was guarded as HR representatives and senior managers waited to hear his case. Ryan began his presentation methodically, detailing the financial and operational risks of the outsourcing plan. He pointed out the steep learning curves for new workers and the potential for delays in critical projects. But it was when he spoke of the human cost that the room fell silent. "When I was a teenager, my father lost his factory job to outsourcing," Ryan said, his voice steady but charged with emotion. "He was a proud man, the hardest worker I've ever known. But when his job was taken away, it broke something in him and in our family. That's the real cost we don't talk about. It's not just numbers. It's people, families, communities." Brian turned to the executives, his gaze unwavering. "If we don't stand up for our own workforce, who will? This isn't just about profits. It's about the kind of company we want to be and the kind of country we want to build." For a moment, no one spoke. Then one of the senior managers leaned forward, visibly moved. "You've given us a lot to think about, Ryan. Thank you." Word of Ryan's stand spread quickly. Claire heard the whispers and was stunned. Ryan, the man she had dismissed for years, had spoken up. Not just for himself, but for her and the entire team. She watched him from a distance, grappling with a mix of guilt and admiration. Later that day, Claire approached him. "Ryan," she began hesitantly, "I heard about what you did. I don't know how to thank you." Ryan smiled warmly. "You don't have to. It's about doing what's right." Days later, a company-wide email announced a new plan. Layoffs were paused, and instead of outsourcing, the company would invest in upskilling its workforce. Specialized training programs were introduced, empowering employees to adapt to new challenges. The news was met with collective relief and gratitude. Inspired by this shift, Claire wrote an email to the entire office. In it, she shared her journey of judgment and understanding, openly acknowledging Ryan's role in saving their jobs. She praised his courage and called for unity, urging her colleagues to move beyond differences and focus on building a stronger team. The email resonated deeply, sparking conversations across the company. Employees expressed admiration for Ryan and reflected on their own biases. The office transformed, becoming a place of collaboration and mutual respect. Months later, Claire and Ryan teamed up to launch a workplace initiative promoting dialogue and understanding across political and social divides. They organized workshops and open forums, creating a culture where differences were embraced rather than feared. As they wrapped up one such event, Claire turned to Ryan. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Ryan nodded, his expression thoughtful. "And it's just the beginning." Together, they proved that unity and compassion could create real change, reminding everyone that the American dream wasn't just about individual success. It was about lifting each other up, one step at a time. This story shows how compassion and courage can create real change. What do you think about Ryan's actions? Have you ever experienced or witnessed something similar? A moment of unexpected kindness, or someone standing up for what's right? Share your thoughts and real-life stories in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about unity, understanding, and building a better future together.